Hi there, my name is Brent Smith and welcome to another special edition weekday Common Constitutionalist video podcast. Okay, a little wordy, but we'll get her done. Today, I want to talk about Sweden. Sweden shows us the way back from COVID-19. That's all there is to say. Have a nice day. No, I'll be right back after this. Alright, well, the reason why I'm doing this special podcast is that I read an article by Daniel Horowitz. He's one of my favorite writers at Conservative Review. No, he's at Conservative Review and he's one of my favorite writers. Okay, whatever. So anyway, he's writing about Sweden. All us conservatives have been talking and writing about Sweden for a while now. So let me just start this. Sweden has been held up by us freedom lovers, okay? In America as the poster child for like a common sense approach to the COVID-19 panicdemic, which is exactly what it is a panicdemic. So you would think, wow, is Sweden still actually a country? Are there any people left, or are they just all dead from the coronavirus? But despite expert predictions and despite all the lockdowns in this country and elsewhere and all the other panic that's ensued, Sweden has just plodded along, and they've been proven to be right all along, just as we conservatives predicted they would be regarding herd immunity, regarding deaths and contractions and all that other stuff, and their economy and whatever. So this is from Daniel Horowitz at Conservative Review. On Tuesday, just this past Tuesday, Sweden reported 0 deaths and just 77 cases of coronavirus. Over the past week, deaths have been no higher than 2 per day. What is so remarkable is that while other countries have had near 0 deaths for even longer, and that's true, but Sweden has achieved this through herd immunity, preventing the lockdown deaths, emotional abuse, drug deaths, suicides, and financial ruin plaguing other countries like ours. And more importantly, is more fortified against a resurgence that these other countries have delayed herd immunity. And this is the bottom line. The fact is that over the past 100 days in Sweden, because of they haven't done anything that we did. They haven't done anything that any of these other lockdown mad panic porn countries have been doing. They've had a steady decline in deaths for the past 100 days in a row, okay? Down now. It may not stay at 0 deaths, but it's going to be 0 to single digits. Maybe it'll pop up every once in a while. But the fact is that they didn't shut down their entire country to get to this point, all right? Meanwhile, back here in the land of the free and home of the brave, we're spraying mace on each other for not wearing masks. Did you see this video? I can't remember. I think it was in San Diego. There was a couple in a park by themselves, nobody around, having a picnic in the park. Whatever the crap they were doing in the park, don't care. There's a lady, an older woman with a mask and a couple of little weenie dogs, or one weenie dog, walks up to them, grabs mace. I don't know if it was out of her purse or she ran back to her car to get it or something. And she sprays mace on this couple. Why? For the capital crime of not wearing a mask in public while they're by themselves. That's why she did it. And she didn't feel any remorse. Nothing. She felt compelled to do this because she has been so frightened by you jackweeds in the media and you jackass Democrat politicians. These people are being frightened almost to death's door. And they think that they're lashing out, and it's because of you. You can blame you, because I blame you out there, you jerks in the mainstream media, you leftist jerkwads. doing it for whatever you're doing it for. I don't care what your motivation is at this point. You're ruining people's lives. This woman probably was just, maybe she was a liberal or something like that, but you have turned her into a rabid, whatever, leftist. We'll just leave it at that. I could say some other choice words. I'll hold my tongue, all right? Yet at the same time, others can have huge, we'll say, Black Lives Matter street festivals. Shall we call it that? Okay. And at night, it's still summer, it's still hot out, and they're dancing in the streets, and they're twerking in their, whatever the crap they call that, in the streets, and virtually nobody's wearing a mask, if you saw the videos, because I certainly did, and it was a rather disturbing sight, shall we say. The dancing I don't care about, all the nonsense I don't care about. It's just the fact, the hypocrisy of the whole thing. There were hundreds of Black Lives Matter, probably Antifa protesters. No, they weren't. They were having, I don't know what the crap, I can't remember what they were doing out there. But in any event, they were all packed together. It's a hot summer night. They're sweating. None of them are wearing masks. They're screaming. They're bumping up against each other, and they're dancing and everything else. And not a peep out of you leftist politicians. Not one freaking word. Yet we're not allowed to go to churches, we're not allowed to get together, we're not allowed to do anything, but these jackasses can go and do whatever they want because you, leftist politicians, the people that have created these anarchists, you created this problem, and now you don't have a freaking clue what to do with it because you're scared to death. You're scared to death of these people. Anyway, so ain't it funny how that works, okay? That some reasonable couple sitting in the park by themselves, not bothering anybody, can get maced, yet hundreds and hundreds of Black Lives Matter street festival goers, or whatever the crap this thing was, can sweat and ride together and whatnot, like some dystopian movie, and nothing, not a peep, no masks, not a peep, nothing. Ridiculous. Now back to Sweden. Sweden did have its fair share of contractions and deaths by COVID-19. Of course it did. Every country did. Duh. All right, barring a few. But they weren't excessive. Okay, they weren't any worse than anyone else's. And they didn't have to lock down their entire freaking country to get it done. All right? Businesses stayed open. People weren't let go. They didn't lose their jobs. They didn't lose their companies. Just ridiculous. The data worldwide demonstrates over and over again, quote, this is from Horowitz, that these voodoo superstitious rituals do not help stop a virus that is bound to spread. And that's exactly right. It is bound to spread no matter what. No matter who gets in office, the virus doesn't care whether Biden wins or not, whether Trump wins or not. It's a virus. It's just going to do what it's going to do because that's the way viruses do. Instead, Horowitz continues, instead they forced all herd immunity and they caused an enormous amount of collateral damage and gross violations of our civil rights. And boy, howdy, ain't that... I mean, the First Amendment is gone the way of the... frankly, it's gone the way of the Second Amendment to some extent, with freedom of association. I can't go out and associate. Okay, churches can't get open, can't open up. They don't have the freedom to associate. This is virtually everything that these politicians and media people are pushing and whatever is absolutely 100% unconstitutional, and no one seems to give a damn about that. Because it's all about the safety. Well, I'm sorry, your safety doesn't trump my constitutional rights. It never has, and it never will. And if that sounds too cold-hearted and not too empathetic or whatever, too bad. Okay, because our rights weren't given to us by any one person or any government, okay? So you guys can't take them away. Yet you have, and here we are. Countries in Europe, let's continue. Asia and in the Americas are all bracing for a second wave of infections. Meanwhile, Sweden doesn't need to worry about that kind of stuff because they've already had their first wave. They stuck to their guns. They remained courageous and steadfast, like Americans are supposed to do, and resisted the panic mentality that continues to grip all of us. And like Horowitz says, the virus is going to spread. It doesn't vote Democrat, it doesn't vote Republican, it doesn't do anything but spread, because that's what its job is. And people are going to continue to get it. With the idiotic policies that we have in public and in private, public places and in the private sector, all we're doing is just putting off the inevitable. Okay, this virus is going to spread no matter what we do. Okay, and again, you always hear about the Democrats and the leftists keep changing the rules. They keep moving the goalposts back. Okay, you've got a 10-yard chip shot for a field goal. You take a timeout, the next thing you know it's 20, and then the next thing you know it's 30 and 40 and 50 until you simply just can't make the field goal anymore. That's the way they're doing it. Okay, we need to flatten the curve. Okay, we flattened the curve. We need to lock down. Okay, we've locked down. We need to do this. Okay, we did that. And they just keep going and going and going. Now we have to wear masks for the rest of our lives, or whether a cure or a vaccine is finally perfected. And that may happen, and it may not happen. It may happen soon, or it may happen later, or it may never happen. So what the hell are we supposed to do? We should have done what Sweden did in the first place, and develop the herd immunity, not shut everything down, and we'd be where Sweden is now, or maybe even in better shape. Take a quick break, take a breath, be right back.
You're watching a special weekday edition of the Common Constitutionalist Video Podcast.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell thingy, subscription alert. There you go. So when another video or something comes out, you'll be alerted, or whatever, an audio article if I'm writing an article. Whatever it happens to be, you'll get your fair share of the Common Constitutionalists. Whoa, doggies. Okay, so unless we have some sort of natural immunity, you, me, whoever, unless you have some sort of natural immunity to coronavirus, this novel coronavirus, we're all going to get this. Just like we all got the flu, or are getting the flu every year, or get some sort of mild version of the flu, we're all going to get this coronavirus eventually, unless we have like I said, a cure, a vaccine, or we have some sort of natural immunity. We're all getting this. So putting off the inevitable isn't going to do anyone any good. And some of us, if we have comorbidities, like they've been finding out, diabetes and whatnot, not good. Okay, when you get COVID, if you're diabetic, type 1 or whatever the crap it is. But you know what you never hear about is 99.7% of us won't die. We'll get some mild form. We may not even have it, or may not even know we have it, and we'll get it and we'll get over it, and then we'll go on with our lives. 99.7% of us will get this virus, maybe not know it, and get over it without hospitalization, without anything. Okay? Now, what about the related consequences that we're not hearing about? Okay, from the lockdowns, okay, the panic lockdown porn. Quote, Sweden's chief epidemiologist now believes that his country has achieved full herd immunity, and it has done so with relatively few excess deaths compared to other nations and other years. But where they really come out ahead, Horowitz says, of every other country on net, is the fact that their lives and economy are intact. Okay, they didn't turn their whole lives and they didn't turn their economy upside down and shake it until the bucket's half empty. Every day for the past 2 weeks, listen to this. Every day for the past 2 weeks, Swedish companies have now beaten expectations for earnings in their second quarter of this year. Contrast to now you listen and listen tight, all you leftist jackweeds. Contrast to this to the U.S., where more than half of the 132,500 businesses, 132,500 business closures are now marked as permanent. 132,500 businesses have closed, and half of them are marked as permanent closures. They ain't coming back. That's over 66,000 small businesses that are more and probably more to come that won't be back, okay? What the hell are all these small business owners and all these employees supposed to do? What are they supposed to do? Live off their government check for the rest of their lives? What are they supposed to do? Jeez. Now let's talk about child abuse, spousal abuse, suicides, other homicides and whatnot because of this lockdown mentality. How many people have already or will commit suicide because of the desperation that they feel from this entirely fabricated panic that we've been put through? How many kids have and will still be abused by their parents because their parents aren't that great, their parents are depressed, they're taking it out on their kids? How many of those are going to continue and have done? And how many kids are going to be permanently scarred from that, you leftist jackasses? Don't we always hear from the left the same old refrain? Do it for the children. If it saves one child's life, it's worth it. Well, guess what? You guys have been killing children and adults through suicide and homicide because of the lockdowns, because of the desperation, because of the lack of jobs, the permanent closures of businesses, and you don't seem to give a crap. The only people you seem to give a crap about are the Black Lives Matter, Antifa, communist, Marxists. That's the only thing you care about because Orange Man bad, you have to get rid of Trump. Well, guess what? The virus doesn't vote Democrat. It doesn't care. So look out, no matter who gets elected. One study, wrapping this thing up, one study has estimated 65, so far, and I think this was in June, 65,000 lives are lost per month due to this lockdown in the U.S., corresponding to an estimated $1.1 trillion in loss of economic activity. Sweden, on the other hand, has avoided this calamity, quote, unquote, from Horowitz. The moral of this sad, pathetic story is that we conservatives told everybody that this was going to happen, that we should have done what Sweden did. We shouldn't have locked down. We shouldn't have put all these people out of business. All these 66,000 small businesses so far are shut down permanently. Are you kidding me? It's small towns and cities. You drive down a small city street or a small town street and you see these businesses, they're boarded up or plywood or they're just abandoned. They ain't never coming back. You leftist politicians have killed some of these towns and cities across America, and you don't give a tinker's damn one way or the other. You don't care, okay? Because your little myopic view of the world is give me power, give me power, give me power. I want to control your life. I don't know what the heck gets into your minds, what shapes your psyche that you grow up to be these power-hungry leftist jerk-offs. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. So my name's Brent Smith. I'm the Common Constitutionalist. I guess I'll go cool off and edit this or something, man. I don't understand it. Why are we doing this to ourselves? And why aren't we collectively standing up and saying enough is enough, you assholes? The gym owner in New Jersey who has been threatened, has been locked out, his shop's been boarded up, and he just keeps coming back and coming back. He's been arrested, I think, at least a couple of times. He doesn't care because it's his right, it's his damn business, and it's the business of his customers to figure out if they're safe or not. It's not the government's business to tell us because we're too stupid to figure it out on our own. The only people who are too stupid to figure this out are you leftist politicians, you bunch of jerks. And you Republicans aren't much better because you got no spines. That's all I gotta say. See ya.